Alright, doing a quick IA for about 30 minutes. I have no apologies for any of the music here. Listening to like music like Halo music or even classical music, stuff that you know is drawn out in real works of art is generally higher IQ stuff, so I do not care. And I was just looking at this, talking to myself, thinking I was recording with this indicator. I've got it in my system here, and I've kind of marked it as like a falling late performance kind of thing for late confirmation, because it's honestly, like, it's been really weird lately with the current calibrations and settings I have. And mean reverting periods, of course, it sucked. But like here, you know, it kind of ate losses, but then it got us out right here. And when it had us short until this candle here. Technically, if you shorted it correctly, you'd be, you know, make money on it. But count from here to here, we sold here 8% on totals. I don't have this stuff at calibrate. Right now we're still positive. Assuming this trend continues upward, we break out of this little zone like we did with the previous one. This Bitcoin chart looks a little bit sus, but we're going to go ahead and get rid of that indicator. We're currently filling out the systems. Gaussian channel by DW. It looks like this one just flipped negative, which is confusing. Am I on the right calibrations? Total is there. Bitcoin, it's been negative. Ethereum, probably still positive. Solana, positive. SWI, negative. Interesting. SWI looks a lot more correlated to Bitcoin than any of the others, honestly. Okay, well, that's a negative print. We're at 0. We're going to put that at negative. Any other 1 days? I don't think so. Go to 2 day. Shift. Multiple. Alright. And my shift just went back to a neutral state. So this one's We'll see what resulting trend we enter into in the medium to long term. We're still negative in a neutral state-ish. We're still in a negative trend. So I think we'll be 3 days next. Just both of these. Delete these. The average dose factor is very specific. That's still neutral. There's still negative. The black cap inspired lifelines. This guy saw his indicator. Basically, you can tell by combinations. There's still over here. And then we had it here. this indicator is, I think this is compromised. I'm putting a red on that until I can either fix it or replace it. This one. Multi by AlphaNet. Yep. Still neutral. Neutral. EMU standard deviation. And my oscillating trend. Both still negative. Totals is 0.7. Yesterday was unchanged. Today is slight positive ROC. Just good to see. Everything's looking positive. Not really. This is really like a good long-term trend indicator. This went positive here, and like despite this, it ate that. Generally, it's a good one, I think. Messes up your time, but big long-term swings get caught. And here we're still trying to see. When we zoom out from the full Trump election, maybe you could argue that these two results here are decaying as well as this one. This market right now is not full-on QE rate cuts like we thought it would be. So, wait. If my mic is, not even. Okay. If I turn this down a little bit, the music is still there, but my voice is higher. I think this whole time it might have been like actually AIDS. Not AIDS, but alright. Even as a short sell indicator. So you went short here. And then you exited positions here on this. You went short even here. You lost money, buddy. You lost money. Alright, 4-day. I already know what's next. Casper's Mastermind Super Trend and the liquidity weighted one. Alright. Yeah, so I remember pointing out how when this happens, when this kind of cross here, when the dark green crosses over or touches the other one, the light green, so the Casper's Mastermind crosses over the liquidity weighted super trend, that's when your top starts to form. And then when this crosses back over, the trend resumes, and that doesn't necessarily mean, like, for example, this crossed over and your trend slowed down and came back and crossed over again, and it was a false signal. Like, was that right, or was it something else? I think it was when the Caspers crossed below the liquidity weighted. Yeah, and when we're looking at it here, Caspers is effectively doing that. But it's not a perfect correlation, but it is something interesting. But they're still long. Alright. Nope, wrong tab. Okay. Alright. Yeah, doing good. Ooh, look at that hammer. Look at that hammer. Let him get up on the you know. Literally this guy. Literally this guy. Let's see how it closes on the 3-day. Alright. I'm sure there's other technical analysis stuff. I'm sure you could argue some kind of compression here, some kind of mini bull flag on the 3-day. Like, you could literally say some bullshit like, oh, ha, 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 ha. I don't know. Alright. That's it for that. Or is the MA shift on 3-day? It was. Still neutral. The Lias has been very stoic throughout this whole region here. It has, like, refused to go into a negative trend. Because generally, if we look... I'll look at it later, actually. EMA standard deviation, then the trend. Standard deviation is holding up. Good. Holding up strong. That's my indicator, by the way. Not flex. Okay, one day, I reckon this is actually going down. I wonder even what this is based off of. Like, the code and everything's not there, and the description isn't very helpful, but it's been somewhat useful. Okay, now we look at the on-chain stuff. Was it 1016 or 716? Yeah, that's still positive. We're gonna keep that as a 1. That's gonna be negative. Even if it goes positive, that's an extreme value outlier, and that's not right. Funding coming up a little bit. It's a positive print. This is, I don't know, we'll see what this is. This could be, this is negative value. Yeah. It's a negative 1. Yep. I checked these. These are good. Pull up my sentiment indicators. This one's starting to fight back the decline a little bit. Put you away. Yeah, that's dead, and we'll just pull up the GLI indicator to see what the fuck going on in the bit. Oh, nice. That is a great daily print in liquidity. That is what you call a net injection. Holy, and then I think nominally, or not nominally, the weekly chart probably looks like it's holding an uptrend. Oh yeah, I forgot the lag is wrong. Yep, we are nominally at highs right now, so that's good to see. That's I'm gonna just print that as a positive one on the liquidity. We're looking good at the moment for what's to come. Yesterday was the same value. What did we print today? What is playing right now? Is this Halo? Never heard of this one. It's much better. Okay. Oh, I was gonna look at the forward testing. So on this day, 428.25, into the market, we were going long term. So let me see. Yeah, so the Lias here on this day sent us long, and it has effectively said, yeah, this whole period here of price, we're still long. It hasn't recognized any of these because if you think about it, this went down, right? And then instead of consolidating here, which would probably result in a further downtrend, it immediately reversed. And then here, same thing, immediately reversed. This one grinding downwards, but it's kind of showing recently a little bit of resistance, which is probably why the Lias isn't giving. It's probably, the system is telling us something that in the long run, perhaps we should reasonably expect some sort of direction like this. And this GLI value gap I got from Prof Adam in the real world. No mathematics or merit of my own to accomplish that. But, and for the Mias, let's go back to that, because that's important. to look at forward testing. I think it's up to date. Yeah, we're still negative, but it was on... Okay, so first off, on the 22nd, so on this day, so on this candle, it's probably at the top, somewhere in this area, it went long. Not, you know, it would have been nice to have it here, but you had rallies like this that it actually faded. So, did it? Yes, it did. It faded those. So, fair entry. And our first exit out was on 6/20. So, July 20th. Is that right? January, February, March, April, May, June. No, that's June 20th, excuse me. And that was here. Which honestly isn't even that good. It kinda is, not really, but... And then it immediately went, and not immediately actually, 7.3, then we went back negative. We got out of the 0.1 neutral range. 7.5. So July 5th. Yeah, July 5th. So I mean, this is okay. Capital protection is totally permissible, right? And when we got back in here, we got gains. It went back negative 8.29, August 20. Yeah, August, is that right? That's recent, right? Yeah, it is. August 29th. So... Yeah, so here on this candle it said, yeah, we're going to go negative. And this is probably another move of the Mayas, which... You can say I designed it this way. That's effectively what I've designed it for. I was hoping to get more exits, like whenever we get chopped and meat, which is why I have some oscillators in there, you know, to help weigh us down. And they kind of, you know, it's... But the way it's working, I'm also okay with, which means the system's fairly, I would say, designed for how I want to use it. It's exited us here, and it wouldn't surprise me at all, considering that the Lias, by the way, if we get that colored in, just give it a blue color for Lias, and this is a, give this a green color, exit, entry, exit. Now, this move here is honestly just 13% and on the total market, and it wouldn't surprise me if we see something like this. Probably what we're going to see. We'll see it again. Maybe we get a flash nuke of some sort, because there are some decent liquidations and we get some more grinding, and then once we get to like this 3.6 trillion mark ish around there, the trend will get confirmed and get going, and perhaps that's when the Mayas will go long, and the Lias will have been stayed long this entire time, all throughout here. So I'm looking at there. I might as well pull up those liquidation maps. CoinInc. I don't know why the website's not converting to English like it usually does. Probably because I have a lot of tabs open. Okay. So the Bitcoin 1 week is why I have this slight bias here. Yeah, so we got liquidations taking us to potentially like 116. But there's still like people over longing down here. And you could even argue down in the 104 range. Probably not, but... And then if we go to ETH, I think I already talked about this in the last log recording that I made. Benjamin Cohen was calling for this general move because of the EMA. I'll pull that up on Ethereum. Did I favorite that, by the way? I did not. I should. Okay, and then I need to go make this 21 and go to the week, go to the 1 week chart. Yeah, so now this has actually progressed up to 3,400 and 3,500-ish. I mean, this area is literally a dead zone. It's very hard for liquidations to sell off towards it, but maybe sentiment flips again and goes down there. But this is the liquidation range he's talking about. and then on the trading view chart with the Lux Algo liquidation levels. Still, like I said, this is a contentious point. Lots of liquidations. But closer proximity is these up top, but it's totally possible. And let's see, on Bitcoin, where does that EMA place? Actually, it's already reset to that EMA on Bitcoin. And, okay, so let's go to Bitcoin dominance, see if we're cooking. Seems to be reverting here. Perhaps Bitcoin dominance needs to revert up to this and rally into October? Maybe November? We finally get alt season? Maybe. And maybe alts and stuff rise with Bitcoin there. And maybe ETH growth actually slows. Because the ETH position on our RSPS has still been preserved here. Still been an ETH, but as you can see, Solana's gaining on everything. So Solana is probably deserving of this, definitely looking to reclaim that EMA there. And I reckon the ADX is suggesting this. Yeah. You know, what we're looking for is a move like this, above 20, and kind of, it's honestly calling for mean reverting right now. It's going downwards. That's generally what the downtrends or mean reverting is. So, kind of skeptical. This is coming up. This Sol BTC can continue to come up. Maybe what we see is Solana and Ethereum rally, but you know, we're a little expecting Bitcoin to rally, so it's like, it's a very complicated situation. Perhaps Ethereum BTC stalls a little bit because Bitcoin starts running, Bitcoin dominance increases. Solana runs with Bitcoin, so Solana, you know, to Ethereum, perhaps we get some upward movement, tactical rotation confirmed. Solana to BTC, Solana would probably edge that out as a result, and this ADX would move up slowly. And let's not forget SWI to Bitcoin. SWI, if it's to move, it would outpace Bitcoin. It would have to. It's already super low. It's early in its time. We're below 20. Honestly, against like SWI against anything right now is at great accumulation levels with the ADX and the ratio wise. And like, I think this is a great opportunity to be prepared to go into SWI. But I do want to watch the SWI SOL ratio because this is trending down. It's kind of mean reverting actually. So you can see in the chop of the price, and I wonder if this actually reverts, or if it stays mean reverting. It then becomes a matter of like SWI against ETH, SWI against Bitcoin, and then you compare the two, and then we figure it out. I'm looking at SWI and SOL. I'm really looking at all four of them. We're trying to determine that. On the fringe outlier side, hype is looking good. The ADX on the weekly is no use. You'll have to go to the 1 day to figure this out. Mean reverting / downtrend was caught. It seemed like mean reverting now, but it's starting to keel up with this hype to ETH ratio here. So that's something that's marked in purple, something to watch. I'm not quite ready. I'm a little bit skeptical to let the RSPS allocate me anywhere, just because of the liquidations and because of the fuckery and the divergence we're having with GLI. I'll go back to the Bitcoin chart and pull that up for reference sake. We're on the daily chart too, right? And we have the 91-day lag according to CBC. Like this here looks healthy. I'm just gonna say that looks like some healthy recovery stuff. So if we put it closer, we're kind of in this zone technically. I mean, this is what you would call a classic divergence, without a doubt. Like this is diverging. If it catches up to a general value zone between the two, we wouldn't really be seeing any all-time highs. But from here, this would be great confirmation fuel for other assets to get their all-time highs, like Ethereum. I think I have way too many tabs open, and this is why. Some of these I need to keep open, though. Just gonna have to deal with it. I mean, when you put Ethereum's correlation here, it honestly looks more like it has like an 80-ish day lag. Not even that. Let's try like 73. That number was floated around by Grok when I told it to calculate, so maybe. because then you align this peak. Like, it's actually kind of scary how this works, because look at these peaks. Like, you got this peak here that aligns. You've got, not really, it's kind of there. These two short-term peaks, fine, and this was the great divergence that we missed. But here, look, you got peak aligned, bottom aligned, short-term peak aligned. Peak is well aligned. Bottom, not quite. Missed the bottom here. Not too perfect there. But at this point, we're looking at the peak, you know, it starts to get a little bit early or a little bit delayed. And honestly, this price action here for ETH might make sense. Maybe we're sitting in a situation where we're about to reclaim a fair value-ish with ETH, come down, hit liquidations hard in mid-September, and then revert back up, and perhaps liquidity is going to continue an uptrend here. And this is where ETH begins to really shine. But in this consolidation range, remember, our Bitcoin lag, we like to think that it's 91. So in this chop range for ETH, we're going to expect ETH to go up and down. What we're really looking for is for Bitcoin to probably balance out and just generally catch up overall and outperform nominally or weekly. I don't know why I keep saying nominally. And then that is what would enable Bitcoin dominance to trend back up to that EMA-ish. Maybe hit 60. Something like that. Of course, the trend would be more extreme. It'd be more like, get me into here, and then we get to November, and we're kind of like coming back down. Something. But I really think with this Ethereum to global liquidity ratio thing here, no one's talking about that. No one's talking about how important that is and how the dynamics can actually be reflected. How accurate Ethereum reacts at peaks and bottoms, generally, with the give or take within a week, to GLI. It's incredible. Solana, not so much. Sui, actually. I've never actually looked at that. I gotta go anyway, but... I mean... Yeah... You got your bottom here, you got your top here aligning very well, but then, you know, you're early on the rally, and then you're crashing while liquidity is still going up, and then finally you catch up to the liquidity rise, and while liquidity consolidates that goes up, it's basically moving like Bitcoin, honestly. Sometimes I try too hard to make assets correlate and be too much like each other when I gotta accept they're their own things with their own narratives that follow price and then contribute to trend of price. But I'm very interested to see what Solana does here. See, like, Solana had its own move. Solana, if we're being honest here, Solana may just do one of these. You know, kind of like keep recovering how it's doing with new lows up into this peak, and then we actually just see it take off again. All-time highs, maybe? I mean, Solana is literally just a liquidity extraction for celebrities and criminals. But their yield farming is insane. Perhaps stablecoin laws and stablecoin issuance becomes a thing, gets popular, or starts making moves, and people begin to realize that Solana and Sui have the best yield farming capabilities, to my knowledge. And then you go from there and you get that, and it's awesome. Yeah, but that's going to be it for this one. Yeah.